Abilities are the backbone of every single Metroidvania game, but they can actually vary a lot in between games. My favorite example of this is from one of my all-time best games, Hollowknight, and its sequel, Silksong. While both games have the same ability core, heal, dash, wall jump, double jump, etc., these things can actually vary widely in between games. But a burning question asked by absolutely nobody is, which one is better? So today we're going to compare the dash, wall jump, healing, double jump, and a bunch of others that are somewhat similar to finally determine which game has the best abilities. Starting off with one of the most important mechanics in both games, the healing. Now both sides have their strengths and weaknesses. For example, in Silksong, Hornet can heal for 3 times as much as the Knight can. But this advantage melts away when you realize that Hornet's heal is pitifully slow compared to the Knight's. The heal time is so slow that you almost have to use the injector band nearly always, so you're always playing one blue slot down. This is Hornet's bind versus the Knight's. Wait, what? I don't know what happened, but apparently, I don't know if they buffed the speed on Hornets or something, but I swear for the entire game I was thinking how impossibly slow this bind is, but it turns out it's actually the exact same as Hollow Knight's. I don't know if it's just that Silksong is much faster paced of a game, but for some reason Silksong's seems so much slower, but it's actually the exact same. On top of healing 3 times the amount of masks and using the exact same amount of time as the Hollow Knight heal, Hornet has another huge ability. She can heal mid-air. Now, this might not sound like a big deal, but it is. This adds an incredible amount of opportunities to heal into the game, way more than you would ever get in Hollow Knight. Unfortunately for Hornet, this does not save her from the metric fuckload of consequences you get for getting hit. See, in Hollow Knight, getting hit means losing 1 mask and maybe losing a little bit of soul. But in Silksong, you might as well set the controller down because there's no way you're winning that fight. Not only do most of the enemies in this game hit for 2 masks instead of the 1 of Hollow Knight, but in Silksong, if you get hit, you lose your entire bar of silk, which is crippling not just for healing, but for things like silk skills such as Threadstorm or even your harpoon. While in Hollow Knight, if you get hit, it's a whatever, you can just heal again. If you get hit in Silksong, well, good luck trying to heal, and now you're down 2 masks to start off with, and you already had to heal. Ultimately, it is really close, but I'm going to have to give it to Hornet's heal. Being able to heal 3 masks is just incredibly overpowered. Next is the dash, and this one is just so clearly Silksong. It activates faster, you're put into a special running animation, you get a special long jump from that running animation, and you can even dash downwards, something that you need a charm to do in Hollow Knight. While I do enjoy Hollow Knight's dash, it feels clunky compared to Silksong, so yeah, Hornet runs away with it on this one. Fuck, I didn't even mean to do that. Now, our next 2 abilities, wall jump and double jump, are just so close to each other and so similar that there's honestly no real reason for me to rate them differently in between the games, so I'm just going to call both of them as a tie, but I'm going to go over them real quick. For wall jump, they're both pretty much the exact same, but in Silksong, you can dash up the wall, directly up the wall, which can technically be faster and be a little safer in some very situational cases, but pretty much the same. This is one for the tie. And then for double jump is again pretty much the exact same. The only reason I would say the Hollow Knight's slightly better is because sometimes in Silksong I'll try to go for the hover and then I'll accidentally double jump straight into a spike or where I don't want to be. But that's only happened at most 4 times throughout my entire playthrough, so it's really not that big of a deal. Moving on to our next real comparison, we'll compare the Dream Nail and the Needle In. Now, the Dream Nail in Hollow Knight is just kind of a situational, oh, you might get some use out of it, but throw the Dreamcatcher on and it turns into, holy shit, this is one of the best things in the entire game. I have infinite soul. But I'm not really sure if I should include it because it's like a charm, you have to add it on for it to be good, but it really doesn't matter anyway because the Needle In is pretty much exclusively a plot, plot weapon. That's like the only thing it's ever good for or used for. And I was kind of disappointed with it, honestly, because with how they incorporated the Dream Nail as, yes, it definitely is a story weapon, but you can also get a lot of use out of it, getting like soul, especially, using the aforementioned Dream Catcher. It's really, really useful. But, Needle In just really just doesn't have a use. I mean, you could technically freeze enemies for a little bit, I guess. I mean, if you really wanted to, but I mean, it's essentially useless. Next up is the Silk skills versus the, I guess, Soul skills in Hollow Knight. And now these was another like big disappointment for me in Silksong. Now, look, don't get me wrong, the Silk skills are great. There's a lot of ways that you can mess around with them, but the only one that's actually worth it is Threadstorm. That's like the only one that's like just decently good, while in Hollow Knight, pretty much every single one of them is amazing. On top of that, there is no way for Hornet to upgrade her Silk skills other than the Shaman Crest. And who wants to use the Shaman Crest? It might be the worst crest in the game outside of boosting your Silk skills. Another huge advantage that Soul skills have over Hornet's Silk skills is just the relative power rank levels between these two groups. So you'll see that the Soul skills have, number one, way more uses, but are just overall way more powerful than the Silk skills are. Take Dark Dive, for example. An incredible skill, taking only 1/3 of your soul bar, but it does incredible damage and even gives you invincibility frames. Now, look at Hornet's kit. What does she have? Cross Stitch, which is almost a useless counter, especially against most boss enemies. Silk Spear, which can do some pretty good damage, but isn't anywhere near close to what Dark Dive is getting. You have Sharp Dart, which is kind of weird and awkward to maneuver. Again, good damage, but not anything near Deep Dark. And then you have Rune Rage, which is a situationally useful tool against bigger enemies every once in a while, but it's just completely based off of like RNG. And then you have Pale Nails, which while homing do terrible damage into whatever enemy you're doing. So it basically feels like that the Silk skills are just a heavily nerfed form of the Soul skills from the other game, which really sucks because my favorite part of Hollow Knight is the Soul skills and being able to use those versatilely. But unfortunately in Silksong, there's just no way to do that. So I'm going to have to give it to Hollow Knight's Soul skills for this one. And last but not least are the deaths. I know this sounds kind of weird, but both characters have unique deaths and unique things happen when they die. So for Hornet, you get this little cocoon area on the place where you died, and then you can hit it and you can get an entire bar of silk back whenever you hit it, plus all your geo and stuff like that. And then for Hollow Knight, you get this shade that can move around and actually swings and attacks back at you. Now, both of these have some downsides and some benefits. Hornet's is very, very good. For example, if you're in a boss fight, it's very good because you can just hit that and you get like a guaranteed full heal at the start of the boss fight in case you took damage during the run back or something. Or for example, if you happen to like save it for a while, then in a fight, if you just need the silk, you can hit it. Even if this is like a little bit more advanced, it's kind of hard, you have to like play around it, but you could still do that and just have like a free bar of silk whenever you wanted to get it. But then on the other side, for Hollow Knight, the shade is actually used in a bunch of different skips early game that are really, really useful to get to. For example, you can use this to get Shaman Stone really early, which is like the best charm in the entire game. While the shade absolutely has advantages, and being able to get to some really overpowered spots early in the game, ultimately I just have to say that Silksong's is way, way better. Hornet's Cocoon is way, way better, just because you get like a full bar of silk just to start off with. If you're in like a boss rush, if you're like fighting a boss or like an enemy rush, that kind of thing, it just makes it so much easier, and you don't have to worry as much about the run back because you have a free heal when you get there. You can start off the fight with a bunch of damage, so it's just really versatile, works really well, and you can still use the cocoon for like a couple of like skips. I'm not sure if it's like it's actually like, oh, you have to use a cocoon for this or something, or if I'm just bad. So yeah, ultimately Hornet's gonna get it. Thank you, brave people who stuck around to the end. you know, this is really one of my first long form videos, so I'm really just trying to get the hang of it, get the hang of editing, get the hang of recording audio. But you know, hope you'll stick around, subscribe if you want to. For every like on this video, we send 1 orphan to Ukraine. So yeah, go ahead and support orphans, support charity, support Ukraine. They're in need of lots of orphans right now, so just go ahead and subscribe.